year is 2007. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 3 has just come out, and Jesse Anderson is on screen with his brand new Crystal Beasts. You head down to your local game store, and you realize Konami's newest set, Force of the Breaker, is on shelves. You buy one pack, you crack it open, and what is it? An ultimate rare Sapphire Pegasus. This is the ultimate guide to Conclave Control. But wait, only 30% of you are subscribed? Go and hit the subscribe button, hit the like, ring the bell. Also, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to me on Twitch. Otherwise, NESHY Beast is gonna come and bite your toes. So, you want to know about anything and everything about Conclave Control. Conclave Control is probably one of my favorite versions to play Crystal Beasts. Outside of probably Combo as well. Combo is really cool. Video on that probably at some point. So, Conclave Control is based around, it's mostly Crystal Beasts. You can play some odd stuff, we'll get into that. But it is a super cool control deck. It has a massive toolbox of extra deck monsters that you can use, and there's a lot of things you can do. It's a very adaptive deck. It has a lot of disruptions as well that your opponents have to deal with. It's a super solid deck, and it's been around for a very long time. So let's get into what I'm running, and then we'll talk about all the different techs and things that you can run. I'll also put some cards in the pop-ups to display you know, other cards, because I don't have everything on me. But let's get into it. So for my list right now, we are playing 3 Sapphire Pegasus, as per usual. So Sapphire Pegasus, we'll go into detail on every single card, as it's the ultimate guide. Sapphire Pegasus is a level 4 wind with 1800 attack and 1200 defense. It is a beast. Don't know why it's a wing beast, but it's a beast. And when it is normal or special or any sort of summon really, you get to place a Crystal Beast monster from your deck, hand, or graveyard into your spell and trap zone. Now, the key word here is place, meaning that it cannot be Ash Blossomed, which is super good. It is your primary Crystal Beast monster. It is very good in terms of consistency, getting all of your Crystal Beasts out. It's very handy in cases of wanting to use Conclave or Miracle, which we will get into later on. Which are very handy trap cards. But yeah, Pegasus is super cool. It's got a pretty decent high attack stat. It's a level 4, so it can go into rank 4s with another Pegasus or some other Crystal Beasts at level 4s. And overall, it is just super solid. Being able to recur itself as well, so you can Pegasus recur another Pegasus from the graveyard. It's just very good, keeps the engine going. Overall, a super solid card. The next card we're going to talk about is Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. I have 2 here that I play on my list. Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, or Zenith as it's known in the OCG, is a super cool retrain of Rainbow Dragon that we also play on top of the regular Rainbow Dragon, that allows us to special summon a Crystal Beast from our deck. That also allows us to add a Rainbow Dragon to our hand, which is very key in terms for activating Awakening, which we will see later on. Other than that, it is a level 8 light on top of being a massive beat stick, which is super good in terms of wanting to deal a lot of damage if we're going second, or if our opponent no longer has anything, or we've just out-controlled them. It's very good for an OTK strategy. Other than that, Zenith is really cool. It's a very good card. Only doesn't often get played at 3 at all. I typically stick to 2 or 1, but it can be ratioed and messed around and see what's what. Next card that we're going to talk about is an odd one for Conclave Control. This is all personal preference really, but I'm playing 1 Cobalt Eagle, and Cobalt Eagle is played in this deck because I play There Can Be Only One, or Tikaboo as some people call it, and we'll get into that later on. But for now, we play Cobalt Eagle. Cobalt Eagle is super cool. He is a level 4, which is super dope. It can go with Pegasus to make a rank 4. It's also really good because it has an effect where it can stick any Crystal Beast card. I believe it's is it in play? I believe. Yeah, you control, and you can put the target on top of the deck. So that's pretty cool. So what that enables you to do is you can have a Ruby or a Pegasus or a Zenith in your spell and trap zone, and you can spin it back to the top of your deck, which is super cool because you can then, you know, just play the Pegasus off the top of your deck, get another Crystal Beast in your spell and trap zone. That's more fuel for a Miracle or a Conclave or anything really. Or heck, you could even stick a Ruby on top of your deck, find a way to special summon it, and then special summon all the Crystal Beasts from your spell and trap zone. It's super cool. But yeah, that's Cobalt Eagle. Again, Wing Beast, so helps with Tikaboo. But yeah, this is Ruby. Ruby's very self-explanatory. Ruby is a level 3 light fairy with 300 attack, 300 defense. Also works with Deck and Be Only One, which is super solid. When it's normal or special summoned, when it's special summoned, it can special summon as many Crystal Beast monster cards as possible from your spell and trap zones. So yeah, not much to say here. It's just very good for an OTK strategy. Also good for wanting to fill up your board and maybe make some ranks or just something good. But yeah, here we have Rainbow Dragon. Rainbow Dragon, again, not much use here in Conclave Control outside of Fuel for Awakening, but it is there, it exists. Super cool card. Not much else to say on that really. And then here we go to our first flex slot. So in Conclave Control, there is a small, I'd say like 3 or 4 card gap in the monster zone, and you can choose what really that you want to use. In this case, obviously because I wanted to play in the meta, I've gone for something a bit more expensive. So this is Kashtira Fenrir. I'm playing in a 3-card slot. Previously, when it came to Tira Shizu format, I played the Bestial monsters, which are really cool. I'll leave them up on the screen. It consisted of 2 Magnuma and 1 Druisworm. That's what I played during tier format before I had my hands on the Darkwing Blast Kashtira monsters. But yeah, so Fenrir is super solid. I'm not going to go into too much detail about Fenrir. If you want to look up Fenrir for yourself, go ahead. But Fenrir is a very good beat stick. This is just more of a flex slot. If you don't want to get the Bestials or Fenrirs, you can also just choose to play either another set of hand traps. So you can play like a playset of Ash, or you could go for something a bit more streamlined. So you could go for like maybe Infinite Impermanence or Forbidden Droplet. I would advise it against Infinite Impermanence a little bit, just because you're playing enough spell and traps. You don't want to clog up your spell and traps on already, with all your Crystal Beasts on top of Conclave and Miracle having to be there, and then on top of that, Imperm. But Droplet is very solid. I played Droplet before, on top of having the Bestial package at one point, just because it was very good. You could send like any crystals that you just weren't doing anything, or cards that you found unnecessary to obviously then negate something. So it worked out pretty well. But that's the main flex slot.
Howdy Jonno enjoyers, it's NESHY, and let me pill you on the power of Rise Heart just for a moment. So Rise Heart is just a free level 4 extender. We could use Fenrir to search for Rise Heart, and then check this out. We can normal summon Pegasus, use its effect to crystallize Zenith effect, special summon another Crystal Beast from the deck, add Rainbow Dragon, you know how it goes down in the Conclave. But next we're going to actually use Rise Heart as a free level 4 to summon itself. Since we control Kashtira, we're locked in Xyz, but that's fine baby, that's all we need to make Baguska our boss monster. That's right, it's just a free material, so it's really nice. In this next example, we have Fenrir to search for Rise Heart. Rise Heart can summon itself, and it can banish a Fenrir from the deck to make itself level 7, banish the top 3 from our opponent's deck face down, overlay into an Arsenal Falcon, Raid Raptor Arsenal Falcon, to special summon a Cobalt Eagle from our deck. This can be used in order to access a Crystal Beast at a pinch in order to enable our crystal spells and traps. Now the next one is called the Earth, Wind, and Fire OTK. You can OTK with just 1 Foolish Burial Goods. By sending Salvation to the graveyard, it can banish itself to add Sapphire Pegasus and a Raid Soak to our hand. Raid Soak can then add a Fenrir straight to our hand. Then we can special summon Fenrir because we control no monsters, add Rise Heart to our hand. Now normal summon Pegasus, crystallize Zenith effect, special summon another Crystal Beast from the deck, add Rainbow Dragon. And who would have thought we would OTK right here? Thanks to the Rise Heart we can. The Raid Soak gives everyone 300 extra attack due to the 3 different attributes, Earth, Wind, Fire, OTK. That's it baby. Now let's pass it back on to Jonno.
Then we have the Handtrap Slots. So we're playing the Gammas and the Drivers. Ignore this ugly Gamma, I'm sorry. I don't have a matching playset, so it do be like that. So yeah, Gamma Driver package, again, really good in this format. This can be any sort of interaction package you would like it to be. It could be Ash, it could be Shifter, it could be anything really. But yeah. Oh, and during tier Shizu format, I did play shifter at one point, so I did sometimes cut the bestials to squeeze in shifters during siding, so that's also a consideration if you go into another graveyard heavy meta. But this is your hand trap slot. I'm not going to go too much into the hand traps because it's just hand traps. You know, we're looking at the Conclave Control guide, not the hand trap guide. So, but if you want to do some research on some hand traps, go ahead. But that is your hand trap slot. Feel free to stick whatever you like in there. I found Droll pretty useful actually, so I did a locals on Sunday. Droll was super solid. I highly recommend it in this format. A lot of decks just don't do much with it. But yeah, so hand trap slot, cool. First crystal spell and trap is Crystal Bond. For this, so this can be ratioed depending on how you like. So when you change the ratio of this, you're changing a ratio of another card. That other card is Foolish Burial Goods. I'll spoil it right now. I'm running 3 Foolish Burial Goods and 1 Crystal Bond. However, if you did want to change the ratios, if you wanted a little less spell searching consistency and a bit more Crystal Beastness, I guess, you can cut down to 2 Foolish Burial Goods and play 2 Crystal Bond. Otherwise, you can do what I'm doing and I'm playing 1 Crystal Bond and 3 Foolish Burial Goods. Either works. It just depends on how you feel and what's comfortable. But Crystal Bond is super solid. Crystal Bond is a card I would at least run at 1. It allows you to add a Crystal Beast monster from your deck to your hand and place a Crystal Beast monster with a different name face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. So if you have no Crystal Beast hands, this is an incredible starter. It allows you to place Zenith in your spell and trap zone, which you can then banish to then add Rainbow Dragon and special summon a Crystal Beast, on top of adding another Crystal Beast name to your hand from the Crystal Bond. So that's it's pretty silly. Allows you to get the ball going, basically. It is ashable, so that does happen. However, we are playing Crystal Beast. The deck in general is just very ashable. Speaking of things that can be ashed, this is a hilarious ash target, and it's happened to me many times. This is Rainbow Bridge. Rainbow Bridge, stupidly funny. This is a simple card. It says add 1 crystal spell or trap from your deck to your hand. It is not once per turn. So I have had games where I have opened multiple Rainbow Bridges, activated 1, my opponent's ashed it, and I've gone, alright, activate Rainbow Bridge, and it's been able to resolve. So that's it's a pretty funny card. Until they notice it or realize or you announce it, it's not once per turn. So it's a very simple card. Again, it's like basically in Crystal Beast we have rotors for our rotors. It's very silly. It's very dumb. So the next thing that we're gonna look at is probably one of the best spell and traps in the entire deck, and that's Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. This card is an absolute powerhouse in Crystal Beast. This is a draconic diagram on steroids. This has 3 effects. It is absolutely insane. I can basically memorize them off the top of my head. What it does is that it gives you an extra normal summon for a Crystal Beast monster on top of your additional normal summon. Its second effect allows you to pop a Crystal Beast from anywhere. So it could be in your hand, it can be on your field, it could be either of those, and you get to add a crystal spell and trap from your deck to your hand. That's very useful in the case where, let's say you opened a Zenith in your hand and nothing else, but you had a Heart in your hand. You can play the Heart, pop the Zenith, search a Crystal Bond, activate Bond, place the other Zenith in your spell and trap zone and go to town. And then the last effect says if a Crystal Beast is placed into your spell and trap zone from anywhere, you can bounce Rainbow Bridge of the Heart and target 1 card in the field, and sorry, you can target 1 card on the field, bounce Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, and bounce the target to its owner's hand. So it's a compulse, it's a draconic diagram, and it gives you an extra normal summon. It is absolutely cracked in Crystal Beast, and I would not run it at less than 3 unless you're playing some janky hybrid that causes you to have like next to no room. That might also be calling myself out because I'm working on a little bit of spice right now for Cyberstorm Access. I'll get into that later on in another video or something sometime. The next card is Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates. This is the card that I was referencing when it came to Rainbow Dragon. So the cool thing about Rainbow Dragon, I'll bring Rainbow Dragon back up for a second, is this card is classed as a ultimate crystal monster. It says in the giant text box. I'm not going to read it because it's like a bible for this version, but because it classes as an ultimate crystal monster, it means that Awakening has this very cool effect with Rainbow Dragon. So as cost for activating Awakening, you can reveal an ultimate crystal monster in your hand, and then you get to activate one of the effects, which is really cool. The first effect is to take a Rainbow Bridge or Rainbow Refraction from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. And the second effect is to special summon one Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, graveyard, or spell and trap zone. So the first effect is super solid. It allows you to either add Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, or the second card, it can add Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, Rainbow Bridge itself, or Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. Rainbow Bridge obviously helps you grab any crystal, spell, and trap, which is super dope. And then you also have Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, which is that really cracked diagram I just referenced like less than 2 minutes ago. So it can help you search that. And then obviously the Salvation, which we'll get into later on, but it is a very good way to add a Crystal Beast to your hand and also add a field spell from your deck to your hand. And obviously the second ability is super solid. It allows you to special summon, let's say, Ruby from your deck. If you have a bunch of Crystal Beasts in your spell and trap zone, it allows you to then special all of them, as many as possible, from your spell and trap zones, and have a good time. Other than that, let's say if you're in a pickle, obviously with it being a quick play, during your opponent's turn, if your opponent's about to game you, you can special summon a Zenith from your graveyard or from your hand or deck or whatever. It's pretty useful. I run that at 3. It's very good. And then the next card is Foolish Burial Goods. Foolish Burial Goods, if you don't know, it's a very simple card. You send one spell and trap card from your deck to your graveyard. This is a once per turn effect. It's simple. You use this to send Rainbow Bridge of Salvation to your graveyard, as you would with Awakening. Again, more on that when we get to Salvation. The next card is pretty expensive. Again, this can be budgetized, but I wouldn't recommend it personally. But you know, not everyone has a lot of money, so understandable. This is Pot of Prosperity. This is very good because this allows you to see as many sideboard cards as possible. I would recommend this in nearly every single Conclave Control build as possible. However, you can budgetize this. You can play like the Crystal Pendulum monsters if you really want to. You can also just play other consistency cards in general that work well with Crystal Beasts. But yeah, Pot of Prosperity allows you to banish 3 or 6 cards from your extra deck, and then you get to reveal that many cards, add one from the revealed cards to your hand, and put the rest in your deck in a random order. So that's cool. Again, helps you see a lot of your sideboard. And then in Conclave Control, we typically have a 2-space field spell package. And those cards, in my case, are, because we're playing the Fenrir's, for added consistency, I'm playing one Rates Oath. And then the other card that I'm teching is Necro Valley, because Necro Valley is just generically good in stopping any deck that involves a graveyard. So, what I would do in this case, if you're planning to do the same build as me, I would sideboard maybe 1 or 2 field spells, such as, Zombie World or Secret Village. We'll get into those later on because I do have them with me. And they are very solid field spells that allow you to adapt your deck to your opponent's deck, basically, and just stop them in their tracks. But yeah, if you're not running Fenrir's, then obviously you have an extra field space slot. Like, you're pretty solid there. You can then tinker around and choose what you want in terms of how you want to build your deck. The last spell card of the deck, this is just because I'm in a spell trap heavy meta, like local meta right now. You don't have to do this, but I'm playing one Harpy Feather Duster. This could also just be a sideboard card, and you could have something else in here. This could be a second Crystal Bond for if you really wanted something like that. So and then, okay, so we're going to the trap cards now. This is the card I've just been referencing a bunch. This is Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. We're going to ignore the first half of this card because the first half is completely irrelevant. It's something about having 2 or more monsters with different monster types or something like that, and then you get to shuffle a bunch of cards and stuff into the deck, and then each player draws some cards, and it's okay. NESHY tried resolving the first effect on a Master Duel stream and completely flunked it, so if that says anything about it, then I don't know. So the main reason why we activate this card or send it to the graveyard or anything, it has a graveyard effect. So we banish this card from the graveyard as cost. And then you then get to add a field spell and a crystal beast from your deck to your hand. And this is literally any field spell. It is a terraforming, basically. We essentially have a searcher that searches our searchers to then send this searcher to the graveyard to then search some searchers. It's dumb. Crystal beasts are pretty stupid. Obviously, I guess this does mean that we're pretty stuck behind, like, Droll, I guess. But, you know, every deck has to have a weakness, I guess. So, moving on, we have Crystal Miracle. Crystal Miracle is a super cool Crystal Beast card. It is effectively a Solemn Judgment for Crystal Beast in its own archetype, and it's searchable, so that makes it super good. Whenever a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you get to destroy one Crystal Beast card you control, and if you do, you can target... you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. And then obviously, if a Crystal Beast is placed into your spell and trap zone, you can also banish this card from your graveyard and place another Crystal Beast card into your spell and trap zone from your hand, graveyard, or deck. So yeah, that's pretty good. Allows you to have an extra graveyard fuel, also allows you to Solemn Judgment stuff. It's pretty good. And obviously, now for the main card that the entire deck's named after. This is Crystal Conclave. This was the main, most powerful card in the deck before any of the structure deck support came out, I would say, in my opinion. This card is a compulse. It also special summons Crystal Beast from the deck whenever one is destroyed. It is very silly. I'll read the full effect so you can understand it fully. So once per turn, if a face-up Crystal Beast monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon one Crystal Beast monster from your deck. You can send this face-up card from the field to the graveyard. You can target one Crystal Beast card you control and one card in the field and return them to the hand. You cannot activate these effects on the same chain. So this card is very dumb. You can effectively disrupt multiple boards with a simple one Conclave and one Miracle. It is a very, very handy card. The fact that we get our own in-archetype Solemn Judgment and our own in-archetype Compulse, which also special summons from the deck, it's chef's kiss. It is beautiful. Last playset of cards for the deck is Tikaboo. Tikaboo is a floodgate that we play, and we play Cobalt Eagle specifically for it. It slows the game down for our opponents, and it works in our favor for us. This says each player can only control one monster of each type. If a player controls two or more monsters of the same type, they must send some to the graveyard so that they control one monster of that type. So it's very good. Again, it works fine for us if we have, for example, one Pegasus, one Zenith, one Cobalt, one Ruby. That works. But yeah, it helps us work around the field. And obviously, if we want to get rid of it, then we can simply just conclave it back to our hand, and then obviously we can play with whatever, because conclave says target one card on the field, so you can target your own things with it as well, so it's very handy. You can also do the same with Necro Valley. If Necro Valley is on board and you wanted to, let's say, revive a Pegasus from your graveyard using another Pegasus, you wouldn't be able to do that while Necro Valley's out, so you can conclave, let's say, bounce a Pegasus in your spell and trap zone, and the you'd have to bounce the Necro Valley and bounce the conclave on the field. And then you'd be able to then, normal Pegasus, bring a Pegasus back from your graveyard and do whatever. But yeah, that's my main deck. We'll go into my extra deck. This extra deck isn't a complete Conclave Control extra deck, simply because I'm playing some meta decks right now. But after all of this explaining, I'll go into some other generic Conclave Control cards that we sometimes use, depending on what you want to use. So I will skip some of these cards because they are somewhat relevant to the meta, so I won't explain these, but there is Donna is a link too. Again, it's a meta card, not too relevant. Nightmare Phoenix is a very good generic card. I will explain this. This is a link 2. It requires 2 monsters with different names. If this card is link summon, you can discard one card, then target one card on the field. One spell and trap your opponent controls and then destroy it. If this card is co-linked with this effect, when this effect was activated, you can also draw one card. It's very good, just generic spell and trap removal, requires 2 monsters, super solid. we have this card to out any towers our opponent has. This is Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. This is a link 5. This requires a bunch of monsters, requires 4 effect monsters. It can negate any effect that special summons from the graveyard, on top of just getting rid of any what we call towers. So towers are like they're effectively big monsters with unaffected clauses on it, so it'd be like unaffected by spells and traps, or cannot be destroyed by battle card effects. Multiple of those essentially. It's a big unbreakable beat stick essentially, and when you make this, because you can use your one of your opponent's cards as material, you can essentially tribute that towers as part of the material to make this, which outs it essentially. It's a super solid card. Next, we go into some of the actual hot staples for Conclave Control, featuring Gagaga Cowboy. Gagaga Cowboy is very, very dumb. It is a time win condition. He is one of the best boys. I have won so many matches, and I've had players become super salty over the fact that I've just cowboyed them for game. It is beautiful. So how this works is you get 2 level 4s. It could be a 2 Pegasus, a Cobalt, or a Pegasus, anything like that. And you special summon Cowboy in defense position. So when he's, depending on what position he's summoned in, he has a different effect depending on what position he's in. So in attack position, I believe he just gains attack or something. If he attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 1,000 attack. Yeah, so that's cool. But the main effect is in his defense position. That's why that's why I literally just have to read the attack position, because I've barely ever used it in attack position. Its defense position effect is you can detach material, and it will deal 800 damage to your opponent. It's very good in time. So let's say you're in round 3, you won game 1, you lost game 2, you're in round 3, and you have like 2 minutes left on the clock, and there's currently no change in life points. A couple minutes left, you can Gagaga Cowboy, create that difference in life points, and hope that you win in time, or it's even better, obviously, with a couple seconds left. So yeah, Cowboy is he's cool. Next, we have Lightning Chidori. Lightning Chidori is super cool. This spins a set card your opponent controls back into the deck. He is a wind. It requires 2 level 4 wind monsters. Luckily for us, Cobalt is a wind, so that does help us make Chidori quite easily onto Tikaboo as well. But yeah, that's all it really does. It just detaches and targets a card. We can also target a face-up card, I guess, as well. So that's cool. Yes, so when it's summoned, you can spin a set card, and obviously you can detach and target a face-up card and spin that too. But yeah, Chidori's cool. Next card is the best Crystal Beast monster in the planet, and every single version of Conclave Control will be running this card. This is the one and only Baguska, the Terribly Tired Tapir. Baguska is amazing. He was Conclave Control's plan like A for so long, and then the structure decks came out and he became plan B. So Baguska is a Earth rank 4 with 2100 attack and 2000 defense, and he requires 2 level 4 monsters. He's a Fiend Xyz effect monster, and once per turn during your standby phase, you can detach. You detach one. Detach one face up. Sorry, detach one material from this card, and then if you cannot, you destroy Baguska. That's like his main shindig. And then his effects are, if he's in attack position, you cannot be destroyed by card effects. But the main thing that you do is you special summon in defense position. And when he's summoned in defense position, all monsters on the field, including yours and your opponents, all monsters on the field are forced to become defense position. And not only that, but that all of their effects are negated, apart from Baguska's. So that's cool. The only thing I would say is, if your opponent's playing Link monsters, don't know if people already know this or not, if you activate Baguska and special him in defense and hope that you're gonna stop a Link monsters can't go in defense position, so Baguska doesn't do anything to them. So that's the only sad part. Baguska is super solid though. If we have nothing else we can make, or if we're going first, a simple Necro Valley Baguska with like a Miracle Pass is super solid. We have to get past a bunch of stuff. Well, our opponent has to get past. Our opponent has to get past a bunch of stuff. So that's solid. Another card is Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller saw a lot of play during tournament format, as it's basically Necro Valley 2.0 in the extra deck. It's very good. I stopped playing this when Kashtira came out for a bit because I was super pilled on Kashtira Crystal Beasts. But yeah, so Abyssal literally just says you can detach a material, and for the rest of this turn, your opponent cannot activate effects in the graveyard. So yeah, it's pretty good. You activate this during your opponent's draw phase. It's solid. Next we have Dugaris the Timeless. Dugaris is super good in the off chance that we brick with a Rainbow Bridge of Salvation in our hand. We can use like 2 Pegasus or a Cobalt or a Pegasus to make this, and we use its effect to draw 2 cards and then discard 1. So what we would do is we would draw 2, we would then discard Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, and then Salvation can then be banished from the graveyard to then add 2 more cards, so you essentially +4 from just making Dugaris. It's very silly. Next we have Tornado Dragon. Tornado Dragon is a very simple card. It just targets you detach material, target a spell trap on the field and destroy it. So that's cool. He's also very big, 2100, so you know, he hits things. Also a wind. I guess it's cool. We have Exton Knight. Exton Knight is like a budget Zeus. It requires 2 rank 4s. Once per turn during either my main phase or your opponent's battle phase. If your opponent control has more total cards in their hand and field than you do, then you can quick effect detach 1 material and destroy everything apart from Exton Knight. So yeah, that's it's pretty solid. Speaking of Zeus, we're gonna go into the package here. This is Borbo, Chakanine, followed by Zeus. I'm playing 2 Zeus still because, you know, meta and Kashtira, in case they try to rip a Zeus out, because that's the last thing that you want. So let's go over these real quick. So Borbo and Chakanine together help make a 4 material Zeus. So how this works is this requires 2 or more level 4 monsters. So this can be made using a Pegasus and a Cobalt or anything in that combination. This requires 5 level 4 monsters, but you can also summon this using a Zodiac monster you control with a different name as material. So how this works is we go, let's say, 2 Pegasus, we then turn it into a Chakanine, we can then immediately then summon Zodiac Borbo, but then go to battle phase. Zodiac Borbo has an effect where it allows you to attack directly, so you attack directly for 0 attack, and then second main phase, you can then special summon your Divine Arsenal Zeus, which this plus 2 Pegasus would make a 4 material Zeus. If you are planning to run 2 Zeus like me as well, another cool thing, if your opponent hasn't like forced you to activate Zeus, you can then attack with another Zeus in your next turn, and then place a Zeus on top of another Zeus for a 5 material Zeus if that's your thing. So yeah, that's cool. It's a Zeus package. And then the last thing is Sign for Lord Omega, simply because we're playing Gamma Driver, and if our opponent activates a monster effect during our turn, we can Gamma Driver it, and then we summon a Gamma and a Driver, creates, we can then synchro it into Omega, tribute Omega, pop something, and then also Omega then triggers and we can shuffle something back into the deck or extra deck. So yeah, that's cool. It's a cool little neat recursion and does some fun things. So that was the extra deck. I'm not going to bother showing the side deck, because again, the side deck is just general on meta. I don't think it's relevant for this video right now. So what I will do is I will show you some of the Crystal Beast cards that I recommend, or that we have like played previously. So staples, again, so when we have the flex slot, when you can flag in staples for whatever reason, the little like 3 or 4 card flex slot that I mentioned earlier with Kashtira Fenrir, there's stuff like Coldby and Ash that I played previously. If you do not want to use anything of the matter, then obviously you can use these instead. I just left these here for the simple sake of showing them off, that you could potentially use them. I'll go into the field spells real quick, because I have a bunch of them here. So when I was mentioning different field spell options and texts that you could play, this is Secret Village of the Spellcasters. This is a super fun card. This does require a card that I do not have with me, so I will pop it up on the screen now. This is Win the Wind Charmer. This is a Link monster, Link 2, that can be made using some Wind monsters, i.e. Cobalt and Pegasus, or any combination of those two. And it is a spellcaster, which is important for this card. So this card reads, if you control a spellcaster monster, your opponent cannot activate spell cards. If you control no spellcaster monsters, you cannot activate spell cards. That's why it's important to have Win, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to activate any spells yourself. And so, again, it's also why Conclave is very useful, because Let's say if your opponent is about to pop your win. In response, you can activate Conclave, bounce a Crystal Beast, and bounce the Secret Village. Therefore, you're not locked out of your spells and stuff. So yeah, but this locks your opponent out of spells, obviously in combination with win. So it's a very good card. It's very useful. Super cool on the sideboard. The next thing is Zombie World. Zombie World is very good on Master Duel right now. I don't know how good it is in the current meta. It used to be good around Tier Shizu format because Flunderies was also very big at the time, so this stopped Flunderies. It reads, all monsters in the field and graveyard become zombie monsters. Neither player contributes summon monsters except zombie monsters. I guess it's also good against Rika, but I haven't seen much Rika in my locals or anything recently, so I haven't seen a reason to play it, but it's a super solid field spell. The next one is a new field spell in the TCG. It's been hopping around in the OCG for a while now, but this is Duel Academy. Now, Duel Academy is a super cool field spell. In my opinion, it's a little more mid than I thought it would be. It seemed a lot cooler, like, on paper first, like, before it came out. But it has a bunch of effects depending on what monster types are on the field. So if you have a Warrior, Beast, or Pyro, once per turn if you activate a trap card, except during the damage step, you can target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. So that's really cool. So if you activate like a Conclave or a Crystal Miracle, you get to pop a creature on top of negating or bouncing or doing whatever. So that's cool because, you know, we play Crystal Beasts. You know, they're all beasts. Anyway, so we have Dinosaur, Sea Serpent, or Thunder. We don't have any of those, but it's really cool that they also theme this card after GX creature types, which I think is super dope. And so once per turn, if you activate a spell card, except during the damage step, you can target. Oh no, sorry, you can inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. And the last one is Machine, Fairy, or Fiend. Now this last one is relevant because Zeus is a machine, Ruby is a fairy, and there's a couple of different fiends in this deck, like Dugaris is a fiend as well. It says, once per turn, if you activate a monster effect, except during the damage step, you can target one face-up monster you control. It gains 1,000 attack, even if this card leaves the field. So a permanent attack boost is really cool. It means that Zenith, for example, can go to 4,000, which makes it, you know, the original Rainbow Dragon attack stats, which I think is super cool. And, you know, it just helps you get a bit more oomph. Now this card that I'm about to show off is more of a meta-relevant one at the time, but a Colder Zone is really good against Kashtira. This is the only excuse and reason why I'm showing it off right now. But yeah, so this says if the turn player summons exactly one monster, destroy it, and if you do, the controller of that monster special summons one mask token, which is a Spellcaster Dark level 1 attack defense to their field, which cannot attack directly, with attack and defense equal to the destroyed monster to what the destroyed monster had on the field. And then this is a once per turn effect, and then if this would leave the field, destroy all mask tokens. It's good against Kashtira. Obviously, if they summon a Fenrir or something, and it gets popped immediately off a Colder Zone and they get mask token, then they are unable to special summon any others because, you know, there's a mask token on the field. So it makes it super cool. We have a couple other cards here, and then I think there's a couple honorable mentions off the top of my head, and then I will get into a couple sample hands and shuffle up, and we'll see what's what. So we have Nightmare Unicorn, again paired with Nightmare Phoenix. This is just a generic link free. This requires two plus monsters with different names. If this card is link summoned, you can discard one card and then target one card on the field, return it to the deck, and then if this was co-linked, you get to draw a card. So this is cool. And then you also get to, if you have any co-linked Nightmare monsters or something, you can do some stuff. I'm not going to pay attention to that because we don't play other Nightmare monsters besides Phoenix, so yeah. The other one is Daigusto Emerald. This is really good during tier format. I'm not really sure if it's any useful now at the moment, but this was cool for tier format because tier could potentially mill your Rainbow Dragon, and you need your Rainbow Dragon in your hand to activate Awakening. So if it got milled, then Daigusto Emerald could target one non-effect monster in your graveyard and special summon it, and that's cool. Or you could target 3 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle all 3 into the deck, then draw a card, which is the main use for this. But yeah, so that's Daigusto Emerald. And then the last card I have here is Diamond Direwolf, and I was using this in Crystal Cash for a bit because we needed no monsters on board to summon the cards, but Diamond Direwolf prior was also a Crystal Beast card in Conclave Control for a little bit. It requires 2 level 4 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach an Xyz material from this card to target a Beast, Beast Warrior, Wing Beast type monster you control on one of the card field and destroy them. So it's pretty good. So you can target itself and target one thing your opponent controls and pop it, or target a Crystal Beast, I guess, and it goes into spell and trap zone triggers heart, and you get to bounce something. It's kind of cool. Also, the fact it has diamond in it, and the fact it's a beast, it's a crystal beast. So that's all of the other cards I had lying around on me at the time. So another honorable mention I will pop up on the screen now is Barricade Ball Blocker. It's very good. You get to, I believe it's discard a card, search a field spell, add it to your hand, or activate it next turn, or set it, something like that. Adds a field spell. It also protects your spells from being destroyed, so that's super cool. I highly recommend that as well. That's a really cool honorable mention. And the other one that I didn't know until NESHY pointed it out for me for the first time. I'll stick his YouTube up here for that. Is Light Dragon Agnista. That's a super cool Xyz monster. I don't remember most of what it does, so unfortunately you're just going to have to read the pop-up. But I remember it being really cool, really unique, something that I haven't played or messed around with yet, so that's super dope too. So with that said, let's get on to some funny testing times. So I've just about reshuffled nearly everything up, so we will see how good our hands are. Hopefully we don't brick and get anything terrible. We'll see what we have. So we have Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, we have a Cobalt Eagle, we have a Ruby, we have another Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, and we have an Awakening. This is not terrible. It's not a brilliant hand, but it's definitely workable. What I would do is we could activate Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. We would then use Heart's effect to pop a Crystal Beast card in our hand to add a Crystal Spell and Trap. At this point, we could probably pop Ruby. We would then search for... I'd say we would search for a Crystal Bond, since there wasn't much to work on our hand in the beginning. We already have an Awakening in our hand, which is super good. It means we can use Zenith to our advantage here. So with Crystal Bond added, we would then activate it, allowing us to add a Crystal Beast to our Spell and Trap Zone and another one to our hand. So at this point we would add Sapphire Pegasus to our hand, and we would place Zenith in our Spell and Trap Zone. And then Crystal Bond then goes to our graveyard. And then what we do is we banish Zenith from our Spell and Trap Zone for an effect to special summon a Crystal Beast. So we will special summon Sapphire Pegasus. Its effects are negated, so we will choose not to place Crystal Beast in our Spell and Trap Zone. We will also then add our Rainbow Dragon from our deck to our hand. And so now that we have a name on the field, and we have a Rainbow Dragon in our hand, we now have the correct time to activate Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates. We will reveal the Rainbow Dragon in our hand as cost, and we will choose to take a Rainbow Bridge or Rainbow Refraction from our deck and either add it to the hand or send it to the graveyard. We will then simply choose to take a... skipping ahead there for a second. I must grab the field spell. Where is the funny card? There it is. We'll take Rainbow Bridge of Salvation and slap it straight in the graveyard. So Rainbow Bridge of Salvation hits the graveyard, along with Awakening. We then choose to banish it from our graveyard for effect. And then we will add a field spell and a Crystal Beast from our deck to our hand. So at this point, I would probably add the second Zenith, so that in case we have any trouble with Crystal Beast, we can then special summon Zenith from our hand. And then we will add a Necro Valley, which I think is probably appropriate. And then at this point, we still have our two summons, because Rainbow Bridge of the Heart allows us to have two summons for a Crystal Beast monster. So at this point, I would then normal summon Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus. I would activate its effect on summon, and I would then choose to place the Ruby that's in our graveyard into our Spell and Trap Zone. I would then probably normal summon Cobalt Eagle. And then I would choose to use its effect and place the negated Sapphire Pegasus on the top of our deck. And then I would overlay these and go into our boy number 41, Baguska the Terribly Tired Tapir. I would then activate a Necro Valley. And with that, I would then chill out and pass the turn. So they would have a Necro Valley and a Baguska to out, On top of next turn, we have follow-up with Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. If it would get destroyed, we have a second one in our hand, which we can then use to add a crystal spell and trap, such as Conclave or Miracle. And as well as with more crystal beasts out, we can then use Zenith to special summon from our hand. So that's a first example one. We'll see if we can get any more boards with the second example hand. Okay, so we're all shuffled up and ready to go. Our next hand is a Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, a Cyframe Driver, a Prosperity, a Foolish Burial Goods, and a Pressure Planet Raitsoth. This is a pretty okay hand, so what I would do here first is I would activate the Raitsoth. Raitsoth would then grab us a Fenrir. Look at that, that's straight on the bottom. That's super handy. I would then immediately special summon the Fenrir from my hand. I would activate Fenrir's effect to add another Fenrir to our hand. So we have follow-up in case it got removed. If I can find one, there we go. Add another Fenrir. Next on the list, I would then activate Foolish Burial Goods. And I would send the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation straight from our deck to our graveyard. And then, just like before, I will then banish it from the graveyard to add a field spell and a Crystal Beast. So this adds a Sapphire Pegasus. And we will add the second field spell from our deck to our hand, Necro Valley. So, now that that's resolved, we then can activate Pot of Prosperity. Our hand's pretty good, so I'd say we only banish 3, so I'd say we get rid of Donna. We can get rid of... we can get rid of Exciton Knight here. I'd also say do Gareth, since we've already done the Salvation line. So these are banished face down. We excavate the top 3. Tikaboo, Gamma, and Heart. We already have a Heart in our hand. Tikaboo's solid, but I don't think it's necessary right now. Tikaboo could be good though. We do have Driver in our hand. This is a bit of a tricky one. Well, we don't need this. I would say Tikaboo is probably a solid option here. I would take the Tikaboo over this. So these go on the bottom in any order I please. And then I will take the Tikaboo and add it to my hand. Prosperity then goes into the graveyard. Cool. I will then activate Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. I will then normal summon my Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus. It'll have an effect on summon to place Zenith in the spell and trap zone. I will then banish Zenith for its effect. I will then special summon a Cobalt Eagle with no effect. And I will also add a Rainbow Dragon to my hand when I can find the damn thing. There it is. Ta-da! And then after that, we can activate our... Ooh, what's a good play here? We still have an extra normal summon, so what I would say is we could... we can still Tikaboo here, so what I would say is we activate Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. We will pop the... we can pop the Cobalt. The Cobalt goes to the graveyard because its effects are negated, unfortunately. We will then add a Crystal Conclave. And then what we can do here is our end board would then be replacing our Raitsoth with a Necro Valley. We would then set our... There can be only one right here. And then we would also have our Crystal Conclave set as well. So our end board would end up being a Fenrir that is able to do a banish. We have a Pegasus that can, if popped, can compel something. We have a Tikaboo, which locks our opponents into a type. They can't access their graveyard from Necro Valley. And on top of that, we also have a Crystal Conclave to compel something, or special summon another Crystal Beast from our deck. So yeah, that's pretty much Crystal Conclave Control. If you have any other comments, stick them down below. I will catch you guys next time. See you later.